Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel, and this, the Unreal Update 4 video part 2. This video is later than I planned as the power station took longer than expected to build. Here we are, 3 weeks after the release of Update 4 on the experimental branch and just a week before it is due on the early access branch. I haven't heard it confirmed, but I get the impression that the Unreal Engine upgrade will be released at the same time, and I'm continuing to prepare my world for this. These were the mods I had installed. Now all the decorative mods have been uninstalled and I have dealt with a few problems that caused. The power grid is secured. With enough vanilla power to run my whole world, if the Unreal Engine update is released at the same time as Update 4, all that will happen is that my refined power stations would shut down, I would lose a bit of quality of life improvements around my biobase, and most of the refineries producing materials would stop. But as I have another week or so, there is time to sort those issues out. As I said in the previous video, I decided to locate this new vanilla power station at the Blue Crater. Plenty of oil and coal here with a source of water. A bit of a bonus, there are a couple of geysers nearby, so I had already built 2 geothermal generators when I was out exploring. In early access that gives me 400 megawatts of steady power. This will vary a bit in Update 4, but at the minimum I'm expecting at least 200 megawatts, and I will support this with power storage. The load on the circuit is just 5 water extractors, 4 pumps and an overclock miner, which provide the resources for Stage 2. As I said, I was building a 28.8 gigawatt fuel power station, so why are we looking at a coal power plant? This is Stage 2 of my power grid reset strategy. The fuel for 48 generators takes around 1 gigawatt of power to produce, though this will reduce in Update 4 because fuel generators use less fuel for the same output. This coal power plant produces 1.2 gigawatts. Actually, it doesn't anymore. While I was working on Stage 4, fuel production peaked and tripped Stage 2, so I added another 4 coal generators. Stage 2 now generates 1.5 gigawatts and uses 300 coal per minute. Stage 3. On level 2 of the power station, 48 fuel generators together with their fuel production provide 7.2 gigawatts, a quarter of the power station's output. The other 3/4 output needs around 3.5 gigawatts power to make its fuel, so Stage 3 has plenty of capacity to power this. In my previous video I showed a sketch for the water wheel, with water extractors along the spokes and round the rim. That was the first compromise. It was too big to fit on the lake, so I had to go back to simple lines of extractors with the packages above. These will get boxed in at some point. Stage 4 provides the other 3/4 of the power station output. I could have copied Stage 3 onto the other floors, but I decided to put all the refineries for Stage 4 on level 3, with half the generators and unpackers on level 1 and the other half on level 0. A bit more of a challenge in balancing plastic production and the empty containers, but it does mean that the majority of the conveyor lifts on the corner towers are actually used rather than just decoration. Stage 4 is then connected to the rest of my world via the railway network. Here in my switch room, each stage has its own separate circuit, providing more than enough power to run the next stage. In normal operation, I link stages 3 and 4 so that their excess power goes into the grid. On a power trip, the first step is to isolate the latest additions of the grid that caused the trip, and all other non-essential loads, so that what is left draws less than 24 gigawatts. Then, to restart the grid, I come back to this switch room and disconnect the links between the grid and stages 3 and 4. These, by the way, are far enough apart so that I can replace them with power switches once I get Update 4. As stages 1 and 2 are isolated from the main grid, they will still be operating, and so the fuel buffers for Stage 3 will be filling up, if not already full. This should allow Stage 3 to be reset almost immediately. With Stage 3 running, making fuel for Stage 4, I can reset Stage 4. While Stage 4 is running up to full power, I can link the stages together and link to the grid when it is at full power. Again, fuel is buffered for Stage 4, so it shouldn't take long. I can then go around my world, restarting the rest of the power stations. This is fairly easy by now, as all the trains are powered and I can get to all the power stations by rail. Since my building materials production is powered separately, that can be run up and I can then build more power stations to sort the original cause of the power trip. Finally, I can reconnect the rest of my factories and full production can resume. I have based the power station output on 4 sections of 7.2 gigawatts each, because that makes balancing the refineries much easier. Each section takes 270 crude oil per minute, at least at the moment, as they will take 20% less after update 4. So I have 2 extractors on pure nodes feeding into my crude oil buffer, which is set up to take all the nodes in this area. This means that any spare crude oil is available to other factories. Each section packages the output of 6.5 water extractors, so I have 2 banks of 7 extractors next to 2 banks of 6, and there are links to feed the excess to the other banks. Each section takes 780 packaged water per minute, and as I only have Mark IV belts, I've split this into half on each belt and balanced the return empty containers to match. These go into the undercroft and are fed to the corner towers, 1 for each section. For fuel production, 90 crude oil exactly feeds 3 heavy oil residue refineries, which feed exactly 4 dilute packaged fuel refineries and 1 residual plastic refinery, and that goes back to produce the empty containers. The fuel refineries produce 240 dilute packaged fuel per minute, which can supply 16 fuel generators. So 3 of these arrangements can power 48 generators, which gives the 7.2 gigawatts. As I said earlier, stage 3 is self-contained on 1 floor, but with stage 4 on 3 floors, it makes balancing the empty containers a bit more complex. For example, the water unpackagers for residual plastic are on level 3 with the refineries, but there wasn't the space around the empty container production on level 0 to split these empties into the right belts, so I had to take them right down to the undercroft and do it there. For making the empty containers, I put all the plastic onto 1 belt on level 3, bring it down to level 0, and then split it again to the 3 separate container production lines. The storage container here is used for seeding the process with plastic to get the whole power station up and running. As each section feeds half its fuel to level 1 and the other half to level 0, this means the empties coming down are evenly balanced. Then for each section, the plastic is split between 2 constructors, which feed the returning pair of belts of empties from the unpackers. In this arrangement, once the belts start filling up with containers, it's possible for the whole process to get clogged, when fuel can't be unpacked because there's no spare space on the belts for the empty containers. Therefore, I've allowed for some overflow to an awesome sink. After some further thought, I'll be rearranging this slightly, as the overflow splitters are after the storage containers, and so the containers themselves will never actually fill. The shape and layout of this power station was decided by the design concept. The floor area was so big it meant that there were few locations for it around the blue crater, so I decided to place it here and then lift it up on pillars. With the 4 levels of fuel production and power generation, it meant I ended up with a railway station in the basement and all the pipe and belt logistics in the undercroft beneath that. I haven't finished the detailing yet, but this is what it looks like now. Any resemblance to the London landmark Battersea Power Station is purely intentional. Perhaps I should add a Battersea Doggo's Home as well. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe to catch more videos as they come out.